All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion, Beyond the Buzz, How AI is Reshaping Brokerage Success. I'm Zeki, Head of Partnerships at Radius, and your moderator for today's conversation. AI is everywhere right now. The hype is actually real, but today we're cutting through that noise. This conversation is all about independent brokerages and the real way leaders are using AI, or they plan to use AI, to stay competitive, scale efficiently, and reclaim their time. We're joined by two standout leaders of independent firms that are shaping what modern real estate leadership looks like. And let's start with some quick introduction. Rod, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm Rod Watson, founder of Distinct Concierge Real Estate, based in Los Angeles, California. My wife is also a co-founder, and we operate in San Diego as well as a family business. We have our oldest daughter, Renise, who also works with us. And we really are excited about, the future of real estate and where it's headed and being able to really embrace AI in our business.
Awesome. Scott?
Hi, my name is Scott Cotto. I'm an entrepreneur, husband, father, based in Southern California as well. I built a real estate brokerage from the ground up, now with over 150 agents. I also run an escrow company, a virtual assistant placement business, and a coaching brand for agents and entrepreneurs. Everything I built comes down to mindset, discipline, and leverage. I start my day at 5:30. It's me versus me. Is how I live. The gym is my mindset reset, and the discipline carries over into how I lead, how I parent, and how I build. My focus is helping others grow with real systems, real support, and a mindset built for scale. AI isn't a shortcut. It's a tool that I use daily to stay sharp, move fast, and multiply my output.
I love it. Welcome to you both. So before we dive in, just a couple of housekeeping items. One, please stay on mute. And two, please submit any questions you have in the chat as we go, and we'll do our best to answer them as quickly as possible. Any questions we don't have time to answer now will be answered via email, or somehow we'll get back to you live after this event and we'll answer those questions. Okay, so you've both grown notable independent brokerages amidst a pretty challenging market, we could all agree. What do you attribute your success to? Rod, if you want to kick us off, and then we'll send it over to Scott.
Yeah, I would say I would attribute my success to, my background coming up in sports, being an athlete, being disciplined, having structure, like Scott said, early mornings, putting in the time mentally as well as physically. And also, having a partner like my wife who, we're able to discuss, how we want our business to look, run, operate from a day-to-day, month-to-month, annual basis. And I think also past failures, failing, being in sports, I've learned, you're going to fail a lot, and you learn from those experiences and how you can actually get better and help people around you to get better from that knowledge and information that you gain. So I would say those are the key ingredients that really have allowed us to, and myself and our family business, to have some form of structure, consistency, and we build off of that.
It's interesting that you started with the discipline that that comes from you being a former athlete. I feel like every time I've seen a former athlete get involved in entrepreneurship, whether it's in real estate or somewhere else, they've been successful. There's something there that's built into you when you're an athlete, that you're then able to take that transferable skill set into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Scott, what about Circle Real Estate? You've grown an independent brokerage of 160 agents, quite successful in your market. What do you attribute that to, that success?
It's really something I'm constantly working on, which is leadership. I'm always trying to raise my leadership lid and lead by example. The foundation of Circle is truly how I ran my own practice, my own real estate business, which I still have. And along with that, it's really the people. I've got an amazing team. And I think that just goes back down to the hiring process, investing time into people, communicating with them on a daily basis. without them, I'm surely wouldn't be where we are today, Circle Real Estate or the escrow company, or the other businesses for that matter. So it's really just leading by example and doing what you say.
Yeah, and having worked with your team, I can definitely second that. You really have built a stellar team at Circle. I just came back from San Diego at a big kind of national conference over there, and I couldn't help but notice that some of the kind of the incumbents in the industry, the traditional big box incumbents, they seem to be a bit threatened by AI. And obviously they're not saying that, exactly, but it just felt like they're just a bit threatened by it. Without going into like specific features, let's talk about the timing of it all. Why is now an important time to talk about not just AI, but just like this new wave of technology that's coming into our industry, especially for independent brokers? Scott, with regards to the timing, why is it important now to talk about this?
I mean, in my opinion, it's no secret AI is changing the way we conduct business. I think just in life in general, as we've already discovered, things are moving a lot faster. There's a lot of talk about replacing a lot of jobs. And for me, why we connected and why, what attracted me to Radius is to be on the forefront. Like you mentioned, some of those big boxes, it comes from the top down, and maybe they're at some corporate office, but they're not in the trenches like Rod and I are. We see the day to day, and I can speak for myself that I felt this was the move in order to stay in front of this industry. Take advantage. I already leverage it in my own personal life, AI. And my fear was attrition. I thought that if I didn't make this move, I was going to run from a scarcity mindset, which I don't operate in. And agents were going to go to other brokerages that might adopt before maybe Rod's outfit, right? And so I felt I needed to get in front of it. And that's why I personally made the move. I just feel if I don't get on board now, I might get left behind, and my agents might leave me too.
Yeah. I think, Rod, it's like maybe some of them are threatened because it's almost like it's leveling the playing field a little bit, where now the boutique independent can compete for market share. They can compete for talent. They can just compete with the big boxes in their communities. You were actually a speaker at this conference, and you were talking about how you can thrive as a boutique independent. Tell us a little bit about that, maybe tying it into kind of like the timing of this conversation and why is it so important?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the climate and what people are seeing every day, every other headline is around how AI is going to replace humans, right? Or it's going to replace jobs. So there's that negative connotation. I kind of take it back to sports. You got guys on the team and you hear you got this new rookie being drafted, or you just traded for this big time all-star, and guys are thinking, well, am I going to lose my job, right? No, I think, going back to positioning your question, real estate's local, right? When you talk about a lot of the big boxes, let's just be honest, a lot of the big companies buy business, meaning they bought their agents. Let's just be real. And the reality of that is that's not sustainable, because the minute something changes in the marketplace, like AI or something that's bigger or better, shinier toy, or somebody's got deeper pockets, those agents can move and move on. Whereas we're building something that's sustainable, scalable, by leveraging AI that I see. And as Scott mentioned, that was one of the big factors that attracted us on our team over from Side, seeing that you have this merger with the consumer app and the agent being at the front face of that on the white labeling side. That was highly attractive to me, because at the end of the day, it's all about the clients we serve. It has nothing, Rod, Watson, Scott, we're all important to move the needle day to day. But what are we doing at the end of the day? We're doing business to position ourselves to attract people in our local markets, build relationships, service the clients we've already serviced, And how do you do that? I think AI is a great way, rather than looking at it as a threat, you can look at it as a tool that can be leveraged to help you be more efficient, enhance the client's experience, also enhance your agent's overall experience and ability to grow their brands. And I use that word specifically, brands, right? Because you can be here at the State Concierge, but I tell each agent, you are the brand, right? You know, you're not just out here chasing deals to be transactional. Doing transactions, doing business is important, but at the end of the day, are you building relationships in your community? And I think AI has helped us position ourselves as the go-to authority in our space, because again, real estate's local, and it's allowed us to create a seamless experience by way of how we actually even approach the client from day one. So I think a lot of the bigger firms, I think it's about control, and AI can disrupting that more or less, in my personal opinion, because then if an agent's like, well, I don't need to be at this big box brokerage, I can actually use AI to help me grow as an independent, you lose people. That's just my personal take, right? I could be off a little bit, but that's my personal take and my thoughts on that.
What are Rod, what are like top 3 ways you are either currently leveraging AI or plan to leverage AI? Like if you were to say, you know, I'm gonna leverage AI to hit on those 3 notes. What are those 3 things?
I would say client interaction, right? You know, utilizing AI to communicate and interact with our clients on a day-to-day basis in very unique ways. Example, you know, we have clients that have anniversaries with their properties, right? 1-year anniversaries, 2-year anniversaries, 3. So we have unique emails going out that basically we don't have to lift a finger. They're automatically set, the copy and everything is created to send out to those clients. Another is really utilizing AI to help us market our properties, have a better understanding of the market. So when we're sitting and talking with property owners, we're not just saying, hey, you know, we just looked at the MLS. We're also looking at overall data that's being pulled, that's giving us a competitive edge that we can share specific details about how we're going to help your property stand out. That would be number 2. And I think number 3 for us is really working to get our agents engaged with it, where they're not fearful of it. You know, giving them, we have basically training sessions bi-weekly where we're showing ways to actually present the actual contracts, right? Your buyer broker compensation agreement, your listing agreement, as well as your RPA. And we're letting our agents know anytime you're interacting with a buyer or seller, they need to be fully aware of the changes, how that impacts the overall deal and them at the same time, so that there are no surprises when you're actually in the process of the transaction. So those are 3 key ways how we're implementing AI in our business on a day-to-day basis.
I love it. I love it. Client engagement, marketing properties and the business, and agent engagement. Scott, I guess same question. Top 3 ways you are either currently leveraging AI or plan to in the near future.
Top 3 right now would be recruiting and agent growth. Specifically, we built a custom AI recruiter to answer frequently asked questions, pitch our services, qualify leads 24/7. We've just inputted all of our pitch decks, our fee schedule, all the information from our website, our policies and procedures. So that way anyone can come on and start asking questions about Circle Real Estate. Another one is, once we attract agents, it's how do we get them into production as quickly as possible. So all of the systems that how I ran my team, I just uploaded into chat, and it kind of breaks everything down into a curriculum. And so now that's our 30, 60, 90. So when you join, this is what you're going to do in the first 30 days, the next 30 days, and then the last 90 days. And expectations are 2 to 3 pieces of business. That's how I ran my team. Again, chat is creating the structure, the slides, the presentations, just taking all of my thoughts and then putting it into a nice outline. Lastly, I would say for my position, another cool tool is a CEO dashboard, just having a conversation. I literally look at chat as my COO and just saying, hey, based on what you know about me and the businesses that I oversee, what are some of my blind spots? Can you help me create a CEO dashboard? What are the metrics you need? And it literally tells you. So I've uploaded since 2003 all of our P&L statements to 2003, 4, and 5. It identifies percentages of growth year over year, month over month. It tells me like where we're getting squeezed, how much expenses have been going up, what to be mindful of. So now I've got more clarity where I always had an assumption, or I kind of knew. Well, now every month I see the numbers and whether we're growing or stagnant or potentially dying. So I would say those are the top three.
That's brilliant, guys. Across the board, brilliant. In fact, the next question that I had was, what's one manual process you never realized could be automated until AI proved you wrong? And I feel like all of your answers right now, Rod and Scott, basically like answered that question. But like, if we were to like think through this question seriously, what's one thing that you really never thought you were ever going to be able to like outsource to an artificial intelligence agent until now? Rod? Oh, I think you muted yourself.
Can you repose the question again?
No worries. What's one manual process that you never realized could be automated until AI came along and proved you wrong? Like Scott was just talking about how he's inputted all of his P&Ls for the last few years. And essentially AI has become his COO. So like, it's almost like I never thought you could automate a COO position until AI came along.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you never thought could be automated until this, this new world that we live in?
Yeah, one thing I can say is the text automation. I like seeing how you can actually, we're toying around with that now versus, just with Follow Up Boss, you have to manually enter each text that you're going to send out to each client. And that was a challenge and kind of a turnoff for me for Follow Up Boss because I wanted something to be automated. But I'm learning the reasons behind that, now. But I thought it was something that forever we would have to kind of just manually go in and just client by client initiate a text going out to them. So that's something I found to be cuts down time. Let's just be real. I don't want to just sit and text my top 50 one by one versus like, here's the list. And then the other thing is, here's what we want to say to each individual client or prospect, right? So that part of it, I've found enjoyment in knowing that now we can cut down time and be a little bit more efficient with sending out automated texts.
Yeah, totally. It's like, it's mimicking what you would do to nurture that client. It is, sure. It's almost like a clone of yourself. Yeah. That is just keeping things moving.
Yeah.
If we could just have maybe a lighthearted moment here and talk about like if you could give an example of how you dropped the ball and AI has saved your butt. Scott, I know building a team of 160 along the way, you've probably dropped the ball once or twice.
Yeah, I mean, that probably happens every day. I'm trying to think of an example though. I guess I don't have things like automated yet on what I'm leveraging AI with, but I will say like, how has it transformed or helped me like dramatic? Like one thing I didn't think that was possible that AI has helped me achieve is, just when we met, this is a great example, I think, where AI knows our fee structure, the foundation of our business, how we operate, monthly dues, onboarding, expenses, technology tool, third-party technology tools that we leverage, and then folding in Radius and what is it that you come to the table with? What does Radius do? What does Mel do? And overlaying it again and saying, hey, if you were to, based on 2025's production, if you were to onboard at, this fee structure with Radius, here's what your numbers would look like. And so it, again, identifies some blind spots about like, whether it was negotiations or just sharing with you, Zeki, about what are some of my financial constraints or concerns, what Radius is going to replace that we currently are paying for. While I've gone through the presentation, I don't have it in my hand yet, which is why I'm really excited. And that's why I can't really elaborate and get into the weeds like Rod. I've seen it from a high level, but overall, again, I'm all in just because I know where AI is and where it's going, and I got to align myself with the best who are have that same approach in our industry. So that's an example of how you and I just really connected, and why I'm here today. Thanks to AI.
We've quickly touched on, you know, what areas where AI can help us: client engagement, marketing properties, agent engagement, using it as a tool to attract top talent, training and onboarding once that talent arrives, using it as your COO, where you get to, you know, plug in historical data and it gives you an analysis of your business and advises you. Let's shift and talk about some of the things that AI is never going to be able to take out of your hands. It's something that you want to maintain in full control of. What are some of those aspects of running a brokerage that AI just absolutely cannot replicate? Rod?
Yeah, Zaki, that's a great question. I would say just the human element of connection, right? No one's going to replace Scott, who he is, his personality, his relationship that he has with his clients, his agents, his staff. Those things you're not going to be able to replace. I think that human connection element is what really, at the end of the day, drives business, because in the background, AI can help streamline, help our businesses be more efficient, help us see blind spots, or basically identify challenges in our business, et cetera. But at the end of the day, we're human beings, and we rely upon the connection of another human being from a communication standpoint, personality, style, and our ability to deliver. At the end of the day, we solve very complex problems for our clients. And the problems that we solve with the clients that we work with, AI can maybe give us advice, give us tips, but at the end of the day, it's us, like Scott mentioned, that are in the trenches actually solving those problems, getting things done. So I think the human element just will never be able to be replaced. And the connection that we have with our clients and our agents and our staff, those things cannot be replaced. And that's what, at the end of the day, why people show up and work with us.
Totally. Scott, with the scale of your brokerage, obviously AI is something that you have to lean on. Like the three things that you mentioned, how you plan on using AI was just so indicative of a CEO who's managing kind of a large org underneath him. In that context, what are some things that AI is never going to be able to replicate?
I'm going to come from an agent perspective on what I believe, like as an agent, AI is never going to replace. To piggyback what Rod said, it's really going to allow agents to go narrow and deep more than they already are, and do more of it to stay top of mind. And what I mean by that is they're going to be able to be out in the field more and having more conversations with the neighbors and find out about these off-market opportunities that AI is never going to discover. I mean, that's our personalities, the agents who are finding out this information, which then is going to create a lot of value to whoever they're working with. That to me would be one example of many, again, that AI just will never replace. It won't know about these sidebar conversations.
So let's stay there. Let's stay in the agent's perspective for a sec. It's an industry that's obviously built on relationships. How can artificial intelligence help the agent personalize their service and build trust without losing that human connection? Like, what are some examples where the agent coexists with AI in order to enhance that human touch that you and Rod just talked about, Scott?
There's a lot of CRM systems, like Rod said. Follow Up Boss will help you and remind you about birthdays and anniversaries. AI, you're not even, a lot of assistants or maybe the agents, they know they should be adding or changing these dates into the CRM system, though 90% of them don't. Working in AI, it's already going to know the close of escrow. It's going to already know their birthdays based on past conversations. So you no longer have to put good data in to extract good data out. AI is going to know all of these things, which is going to help the agent gain a lot of time back, be a lot more efficient, allow, like Rod kept referencing, the customer experience, or like as an example, all of our agents, I celebrate their birthdays and I celebrate their anniversaries with Circle Real Estate. And we have automation of everyone's birthdays, and I have my own cards handwritten out that are ready to go. And they, on their birthday, they'll get a box of cookies. Same thing I would do for my past clients. On their anniversary with Circle, they get a coffee for a week, or sometimes it might be a coffee and a protein box, just to let them know that we're thinking about them. And again, just showing appreciation, same thing that we do with our past buyers and sellers. All of that's automated now. Again, I think it gives the past clients an experience. It gains your time back, which allows you to be more effective and move on to bigger and better things to drive more clients.
Totally. I just yesterday got a demo internally. Our product team demoed to me just a CMA feature, and it's literally the agent saying, Mel, give me a CMA report for this property. And then Mel thought for, like 10 seconds and then produced a branded CMA with graphs. And it was like a 6-page, just full legit CMA. And just something like that, like just the speed of service that an agent could deliver to their client, something like that used to take hours, because, I'm meeting, we're at a coffee shop having this conversation. I'll go back to the office, and by the end of the day, or maybe by tomorrow, you'll have that CMA. And now, it's literally 10 seconds after you say, like, is this property priced right? 10 seconds later, I can have a CMA in your hands.
Wow.
Rod, what are your thoughts on this? How the agent on the ground, how can they leverage AI to enhance that human connection you talked about?
Yeah, Scott has some great pointers that he touched on. Going for us, I would say the human connection in that element is really important, and how do you stay top of mind? So I'll share some things that we're actually currently in the thick of working on right now. One is we've been using AI to kind of schedule out our more or less our how can I put it, our events, right, that'll allow us to engage and enhance the client experience just beyond the transaction. Because at the end of the day, people buy homes with people they like, which is typically their friends, people that they trust, people that they respect. And also people buy homes with people that they believe are industry experts and knowledgeable and can help guide them. But at the same time, people also want to know that you're human, that they can connect with you. So we've found great ways to connect by way of, meeting with our clients, whether it's private dinners or it's group meetups where we're meeting with them and we're hosting dinners, or something exclusive. Like we did an event at our penthouse listing recently downtown LA. We had a wine vendor come in, we had some light bites, and, we just kind of just shoot shit, just talk, have a good conversation. Like those things are important because your clients, they're busy. They have things going on. They have families. So we've been utilizing AI to actually plan out our four events, with basically one per quarter, which is 4 times a year. Another thing that we're actually in the process of doing is presenting, right? Utilizing ChatGPT. We have, ours is called ACE, and we were actually using a combination of both Mel and ACE to help us formulate an actual presentation that really walks the buyer and the seller through the process, really setting the expectations and actually answering a lot of questions up front. That way, when we meet with them, we know exactly what we're focusing on. So example, most sellers, what's important to them? It's going to be commissions. How are you going to, pricing their home? How are you going to market their property? And most times, what are you going to do different than the individuals that they may be sitting and having a conversation with? So when we're sitting and talking with sellers, we can go ahead and get what's important with them out of the way, obviously asking the right questions up front and gathering and taking that information. But then how do we streamline that to where we're spending time focusing on what they want to talk about? Because at the end of the day, it's really about them and helping them solve the complex problems that comes with selling their property. So we're in the process of actually putting that together now. So those are things that we believe that can help us, stay top of mind and also bring value to the client. So it makes it, I think, in our opinion, pretty undeniable that they should be working with us at the end of the day because of the time and energy that we're putting in to directly focus on them. How do we help them solve the problems of selling a property or buying a home? Or sometimes it's a combination of both.
I think you guys are right. I think as agents start to lean on AI, and as AI starts to mimic the agent in its outreach and in its nurture and in its ability to convey information, famously, according to the NAR, some 90% of buyers say they would recommend their agent, but only 12% of them actually use the same agent on their next purchase. And so there's like this massive gap. I think the agents that are leaning on AI are the ones that are going to be shrinking that gap, where you're going to work with a buyer. The buyer is going to have an excellent experience working with that agent. Then AI is just going to jump in and stay in touch with that agent and invite them to the happy hour and the luncheon and say happy birthday and happy anniversary, etc. So AI kind of jumps in that post-sale period. And then, 4 years from now, when, they're ready to make another move, it's always going to be that agent who's going to get contacted. The chances that the buyer is going to go somewhere else to purchase their next home becomes very, very minimal. If they're moving to another city or state, they might actually call the buyer and say, who can you connect me with over there? So I just feel like that gap is going to shrink quite dramatically. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think it could also ask for referrals. It could also ask for the 5-star testimonial that we might all, ask, and they say they will, but life happens and they're busy and juggling kids in school or summer, and AI could ask them again, hey, I know you said you would leave that 5-star review, just checking in or just nudging you when you have a moment, if you wouldn't mind. It's those things where agents might do it, but then the follow-up, times that by 10 or 20 clients, it becomes overwhelming at times, and AI will just replace that.
Yeah. Scott, over at Circle, you've essentially created a Circle AI agent called Willow. And, this AI agent is going to know all things Circle. So, when a new hire, for example, comes in, they can work with this AI agent to go through their 30, 60, 90-day training. You were, for the audience here, you were the first partner of Radius's to say, how can we take Mel and customize it to our brokerage so that it knows internal information that Mel doesn't necessarily know about? Walk me through the thought process. I'm very interested in kind of what got you to think through, to think about that.
Well, I think about all of the things that tax us as whether it's broker owner or running large teams. You're always getting, you got a sec, and all of the questions can be answered. It's the same questions over and over and over again, which is taxing our infrastructure, our whole entire leadership team, for something about what's the Wi-Fi. If you can go in and ask Willow, what's the Wi-Fi? And it just zaps it versus someone posts in Slack, and then some people have to get back to them. Or if they call or text or DM me, then I've got to, you times that by 25 a day, it becomes tedious, monotonous, and overwhelming. And so that was natural for me to ask, hey, can we upload our policies and procedures that are going to answer 60% of new agents' questions? And the answer was always, yeah, we can do that. And then, so are you saying then that when they ask the Wi-Fi, you're saying that it'll tell them, and you guys, yep, it'll do that. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a pain point for us, which you just solved. And so then it kept going down. Well, can we upload our 30, 60, 90? So when I tell people on script practice, you got to go into Slack, you got to download, search 30, 60. Are you saying they could just go into Willow and say 30, 60, 90, and boom, there it is? And you go, yeah. And so that's how everything kept spiraling down, which was like, well, this is amazing, because we're going to save a lot of time continually shoveling the same information to different people every 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
That's one example of many.
Rod, you've built a white glove boutique firm. And you know, just today I saw on social media your team celebrating, you know, a $7 or $8 million sale, and so congratulations on that, of course.
Yep.
You've reached a point where you truly are, you know, a trusted advisor for many in your network, in your community. But along the way, you know, what are some mistakes or lessons that you've learned? Anything to caution the aspiring independent boutique brokerage right now?
Yeah, I would say don't be in a rush. I mean, as much as we want to get to the next level with our business, I think organization, structure, systems, and processes, you don't want to skip that. It's like in sports, you have to have the fundamentals, you have to have the foundation if you're going to be successful, right? And it's the same that applies to business. So I would say, number one, not being in a rush to scale, really making sure that, you know, you have your systems and processes in place, and really understanding which systems and which processes are actually delivering results, and which aren't, and scrapping the ones that aren't, and pivoting when in the areas that's needed. And, you know, being consistent, right? You know, showing up day in and day out, even when things aren't going well, being consistent, and also doing the things that you're saying you're going to do. Scott touched on that. I think those are non-negotiables in this space. You know, when I tell a client I'm going to deliver on something, I deliver, and don't overextend yourself and say, hey, you're going to do something that you're not capable of doing. So your word is your bond, and being able to stand behind that, I think, is one of the reasons why I've earned the trust and the respect of the individuals and the clients that we work with in this space, that has led to multiple referrals, repeat business, is that consistency. But in the early stages, I wanted to get there overnight, and that just doesn't happen. I had a mindset and understanding coming from sports. You have to build the foundation. You have to build the systems and the processes, but the desire to get there, you can't ignore that. It's like, hey, I want to sell a 10, 12, $15 million house. You know, 8 years ago, I want to do that then, but it took me a little over a decade to get in this position. So I think understanding the timing and what it takes, you just can't underestimate the process and the systems that's what's going to lead you to get in the position of where I am. It's not just about your talent. Just like in sports, you can be talented, but you need a great coach, you need a great system, you need great teammates, and you got to have accountability. All those things are recipes for success. And so just not being in a rush, being patient with the process, and collaboration also, I think, is really important. We're collaborating right now, collaborating with other professionals, other thought leaders in your space, I think, is important. You know, it's okay to ask questions like, Scott, I'm going to be hitting you up after this call. You're touching on things, and you're at a level that I desire to be in my business. I may be great at what I'm doing here in the sports and entertainment component and working with these clients, but there are other aspects that I'm weak and I've got to get better at, and that's running the back end office. And, you know, we wear these hats, you know, and we got to be able to do multiple things. And people think real estate agents just wake up and we go put a sign in the dirt and we sell a house and, hey, we got big commissions. And there are so many other intricacies that go with being successful, and we fail a lot. So I think collaboration is important, and not being afraid to reach out to other professionals that are actually, in the words we use, killing it, or being highly successful at something we desire to do, and not being afraid to look like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, get past all of that and reach out to people that can help you get to where you want to be.
That is gold, dude. That is gold. And so it's, you know, be patient, trust the process, and collaborate. It comes down to those three things. That is just freaking gold. Scott, lessons learned, mistakes that upcoming owners of boutique brokerages should be aware of?
Just in general, I guess it would be just listening to the people, without the agents. I work for them. They're my clients. So I'm very cognizant of that. There are many options out there. Why should they stay with us? Again, maybe being a little bit forward thinking. Again, the new partnership with Radius, I'm excited. They're really excited about it. That's something that the big boxes, maybe they have some little bolt-on kits right now. But we've got a whole platform from A to Z, again. So I think that's going to help kind of keep the team together.
It's so interesting you say that, Scott, because just yesterday we were having an internal discussion. It was myself, Ethan, our head of customer success, and maybe one or two others. And Ethan brought up how remarkable it is that just all the agents at Circle Real Estate trust in the leadership. And there's something there. It's and especially when there are that many agents and they just uniformly, just trust and believe in what's being built. It says a lot about the approach of the corporate office or of yourself.
Can I touch on that?
Yeah, please.
I hope this does not come out wrong, but it really tailors to Rod's point. It's about walking the walk. Like we all want to get to these different levels, but the truth of the matter is I sold own your owns and I still do that. It's not like I wanted to become this $1 million agent and I bypassed you gotta level up every time. You gotta work with buyers typically before you earn listings, and so it's just an organic growth. And so that's my message with the agents is like, I get where you're at. I know what you're thinking right now. I know you're frustrated, and so like how Rod's last question, like for us, it's very similar. It's discipline and consistency, right? You got to keep doing the same boring stuff even when you don't want to and the results aren't showing up. Goes back to, again, the whole athlete concept. Rod went to practice. I went to practice. We didn't want to go on days, but you show up anyways because your coach, your teammates, everyone's expecting you, to come at your best level. It's a team sport, and that's kind of how we kind of fold things in here. No one's doing things based off a theory. It's tried and true. We're walking the walk.
Yes. So let's conclude this by kind of looking ahead. And internally here at Radius, we have like a suggestion box basically, and it's for ideas, because we're a tech company. We want to be as innovative as possible. We want to be the largest and most trusted platform for independent brokerages everywhere. And so, this suggestion box is basically like, a dreamer's suggestion box. Like whatever you dream up, there are no such thing as bad ideas. Whatever you dream up, just throw in there. And so, a few of the things that I've thrown in there is like, imagine walking into a listing appointment already knowing the seller's communication style, their emotional drivers, the exact value points they care about most, because Mel or Willow has built a pitch specifically for them. And it tells you which competitors they might be interviewing aside from you for that listing, and what's the approach that you need to take in order to win that listing. Imagine Mel transforming an empty room into or a house, an entire house, not just a room, an entire house that needs renovation into a fully designed, move-in ready dream space, customized to that buyer's taste and optimized for, to maximize the seller's return. And imagine her doing that like at a moment's notice. Imagine telling a potential seller, I already have your buyer, and showing them a live dashboard of, ready to make a move, pre-qualified prospects whose needs perfectly match the home of this seller, even before the listing hits the market. It's just like, imagine having access to a market brain that runs 1,000 pricing simulations in real time and tells you exactly when to list, what upgrades you need to make that are going to be worth it, the most bang for your buck, what price is going to trigger the most offers. Imagine having a hyper intelligent AI version of yourself that warms up leads and practices your listing presentation pitch with you, analyzes every listing presentation that you've ever done, and then tells you what areas you need to improve. And it's just like, we're always throwing these ideas, these like imagine, right? And I always start it, whenever I'm throwing an idea into the suggestion box, I always start it with imagine. Like, imagine a world where this is possible. And I say that because as we look ahead, there are some things like that are not even on our radar. Like, we don't even know what's coming down, because it is AI is transforming this world at an insane rate. What's one aspect of running a brokerage that you think AI will completely transform over the next 12 months? So we're not talking 10 years, just over the next 12 months, one of those like known unknowns or unknown unknowns, however Donald Rumsfeld would probably say it. But like, over the next 12 months, what's one thing that's not on our radar right now that we think is just going to, come out of nowhere via AI? Rod, Scott, whoever wants to take this up.
I don't know. You rattled off a lot of good things that, I haven't thought about. So I mean, any of those would be amazing. I guess the low hanging fruit would be, you get, again, talking to Willow and just saying, hey, Bob Smith, can you write up an offer for 123 Main Street for $1 million, 20% down, 10-day inspection, 12-day appraisal, 14-day loan, give him close of escrow plus 3 days. And then it kind of, I just did this last night and it says, okay, here it is. Zip. Does it look okay? And I said, yes. And then asking it to then upload it into Glider Wind Forms and then DocuSign it over to my client, all without saving, moving signatures and doing nothing, all from Starbucks, me drinking my latte at Starbucks and talking to Mel Willow. That, I believe I know that's right there. So it's here. That's why I'm anxious to play with it. Cause again, we're getting onboarded. So I don't have, I don't know what it fully does and doesn't do, but once we start getting involved, I think I'll be able to give more ideas and stuff. But the whole premise for me in the partnership is I know it does a lot, but again, it was you and Bijou that sold me that whatever I can think of, you guys are always, the answer is yes. And that's what I love. So I feel like the partnership, I have a full team of coders, engineers in my back pocket.
Yeah, you really do. Rod, if you put on your creative hat, what's one thing that's going to come out of left field that's going to, transform how a brokerage is run over the next 12 months via AI?
Yeah, both, Zaki and Scott, you both touched on some really great things. I think just thinking of it like a Picasso, right? Having this blank canvas where you can kind of create the overall experience that you want the client to have, you want your agents to have, how you want your business to run and operate is literally at our fingertips. So I think about speed and efficiency, right? In sports, things are moving fast, right? But you also have to be efficient to produce the results. You look in the NBA, everything's about analytics, it's numbers. A lot of that's coming at us real fast, and I think that from a disruption standpoint, the speed and efficiency standpoint, I think that that's big because just think about it. Someone like me who has a robust database, or like Scott, you got 10,000, 20,000 people in there. How are you staying top of mind with those individuals? How are you engaging with them? And rather than chasing after new business, which agents do a lot, every day you're trying to follow up with a Zillow lead or whatever form of marketing, versus you have people right there in your database that are transacting and you may not even know about it, right? And utilizing AI with speed and efficiency to not only put you in front of those people, but identifying, like you just shared, Zaki, what are their pain points? I own this property over on 123 Big Bird Street. And, the propensity report says that, Scott's more than likely to sell in the next 3 to 6 months or the next 12 to 18 months. So do you reach out to Scott and say, Scott, are you ready to sell your home? No, you reach out to Scott and say, hey, here are some things that if you are considering and selling in the next 3 to 6 or 12 months, and Scott's like, wait a minute, how did he know I was potentially thinking about this, right? It's kind of like when you're on your phone and you're talking and then you see this ad pop up and you're like, wait a minute, how did it know that I was thinking about, getting barbecue, right? And you see a barbecue ad. It's that speed and efficiency that's going to allow us to be top of mind out of nowhere to the consumer that puts us front facing. And I think that is the exciting part about where not only is it going, but where it can go. And then again, I just gave examples, Scott gave examples, Zaki, you gave examples, how it can be tailored, because at the end of the day, it's about how you're going to enhance the experience, how you're going to win people over, and then how you're going to deliver on your offerings, right? And to be able to utilize AI in a way that it's going to be able to do that in a very quick and fast way. I mean, it's mind-boggling to think about the things that it can do. So, that's my take on it, and I'm excited to see where it can go. I've got a lot of ideas. I can show you my text messages I've been sending Zaki over the last almost 12 months of just various ideas on how we can actually program this AI to basically help us streamline and make our business more efficient.
Well, this has been a great conversation. Let's close with just you telling us where people can find you, if it's an agent that wants to join your team, or if it's another agent that wants to collaborate with your brokerage, or just pick your mind on stuff. Scott, where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Scott Cotto, first name, last name. And the brokerage, we're at a Circle Real Estate based in Long Beach. And then otherwise, if they want, they can get my number through you as well.
Sure. Rod, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Rod Watson. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Rod Watson 23, the number 23. All my information is on both of those platforms. You can always shoot me a DM, or you can shoot me a text or email, and be happy to reach out. And regardless of whether it's a collaboration or you're considering partnering with us as an agent, we look forward to having a conversation with you, or any way I can support you.
Well, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you for having us.
We heard a lot about Mel today. So before we wrap, let's answer a question that we often get, which is, what is Mel and how is it different from ChatGPT? Mel is Radius's AI assistant. It's purpose-built for real estate, and it's fully connected to the MLS. That connection right there unlocks capabilities that generic AI tools cannot offer. It can generate CMAs on command, for example. It can write listing descriptions. It can pull disclosures, track deadlines, flag missing documents. For example, if a client taps, what's this home worth in your app, Mel instantly delivers a branded CMA using MLS comps. No waiting on the agent, no back and forth. On command, a CMA is in your client's hand within 10 seconds. It's also trained on thousands of real-world compliance scenarios. If a disclosure is missing or the wrong form is uploaded, Mel's going to flag it in real time, which saves you hours of cleanup and keeping deals on track. And it doesn't stop there. Mel is proactively nurturing your clients. It follows up based on their behavior. It even takes notes during conversations so agents can focus on people, not on administrative work and data entry. Now, you may have also heard us talk about Willow earlier. That's Mel, but we rebranded it and customized it for our partner, Scott, over at Circle Real Estate. Every partner gets a version that reflects their brand, their workflows, and their business. And if you don't have an app, don't worry, we build one for every single partner. All right, so a big thanks to Rod and Scott for joining us, and thank you all for watching. For anyone whose questions we didn't get to, we'll make sure to follow up via email or somehow get a hold of you and make sure you get answers to your questions. Thanks all.